Now, the next thing I want to talk about is feeding a piece of wood through the machine. So we've got something that we want to sand, and at the moment it doesn't fit. This big winder on the left-hand side of the machine controls the height of the conveyor. You can wind it down and wind it up. So we've got the down and up on here, so we want to wind it down so we've got a little bit of extra space. And now we can put our material in there and there's no hang up. As we wind the table up, it'll get to a point where it starts to grab the piece of wood. So it's grabbed it there now and it's being held by the rollers. We want to back it off until it's just sliding through. Next we're going to start the machine, run the conveyor fairly slowly, and as it's going through we start to wind the table up, turning the handle clockwise until we just hear it engage on the wood. Again, I'm not going to run the dust extractor at the moment just so that you can hear what's going on. But normally the first thing you do is turn the dust extractor on because this thing creates a lot of dust. Unlock the emergency button. I'm going to turn this to minimum speed. I've got that just sitting in there. Start my machine. The conveyor belt starts, and then I wind this up slowly, slowly, slowly. Until we just hear it engage on the wood. So you hear that? And now I turn the speed up just to run it through. You can see it's just started sanding, but it's hardly taken any off. Turn that off so that I can talk over it. We now know that the drum and the table are set to the starting thickness of our piece of material, and in order to adjust the amount that we're sanding off it, obviously we wind the table up, we turn the handle anti-clockwise. Now the controls on this are such that a quarter turn on this raises the table by about 1 millimetre. When you're sanding something, there's no way you want to be taking off 1 millimetre of material at a time. You only want to be taking maybe a quarter of a millimetre at most. And so if 90 degrees on this is 1 millimetre, the maximum you ever want to adjust this is a portion of that. Think about the hands of the digits on a clock face. So between 6 and 9, you'd want to go from 6 to 7 to 8. In fact, maybe not even, maybe 4 steps between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock is about what we're talking about. It's only small adjustments like this that we want to make. Any more than that and you'll overload the machine, you'll burn the wood, probably cause it to shut down and probably make a mess of the drums. So let me just run this through one more time for you and demonstrate it. So a couple of things I'll say about what you might have just seen. First of all, you will have noticed that the adjustments on the depth control are quite fine, as I explained. Secondly, when I put my piece of material through the drum sander, I was putting it on a bit of an angle. Rather than just straight through, put it on a little bit of an angle. I did that for 2 reasons. First of all, it spreads the sanding out across a wider area of the drum. It also and uses a wood which perhaps gives us a more even finish on here. Secondly, if we put it through this way one time and then we put it on the opposite angle the next time, what it does is it removes material more quickly than it would otherwise do because we're going across the grain. The final pass I recommend, maybe without even adjusting the depth control, is to run it through straight in order to get the sanding lines lined up with the grain of whatever material it is you're sanding. Probably one other thing to comment on is that we sand everything from red cedar soundboards to Gidgee fretboards. So Gidgee is one of the hardest timbers around and red cedar is one of the softest. You really have to be thoughtful about what you're putting through, and obviously with red cedar in particular, and well, with both woods for two reasons. It's a soft wood, if you run it through, it'll go through, but it'll really pull the wood off fast, and you may end up thinner than you hoped. And secondly, with something like Gidgee or ebony or one of the hardwoods, rosewoods, you'll just end up burning black charcoal onto those sanding drums. The other thing I want to mention is that the manufacturer's specification for the machine says that the minimum thickness of material that you want to run through here is around 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters. We're routinely taking soundboards, backs and sides down to 2 millimeters, 2.5 millimeters, 3 millimeters, less than that. Now it turns out the machine can actually go a little bit below 6, but what we recommend when we're getting down to doing really thinner pieces is we put them on a carrier board, and there'll be a number of these carrier boards. They provide the thickness to actually bring our material up so that we can actually sand down to less than the 6 millimeters and get down to 2 millimeters. And so look for the carrier board if we're going to be going down to very thin thicknesses.